Hello YouTube, welcome to another one of my Duel Links videos, and today I have for you a Sylvan deck. Now that the ban list has been implemented, we now have Martial Leaf to 3, which is one of the better cards in the archetype. However, if I'm gonna keep it real, the deck's still not very good. It's inherently slow because it requires a turn to set up. Sure, you can run cards that will flip your monster's face up the same turn you set them, but is that really the way you want to play this deck? I don't know. Going second sucks. Going second in the mirror match, it's absolutely horrible. There's just too many ways to get around flip effects nowadays. You set a monster that your opponent has, 10 different ways of removing it from the field. If they have to attack it, there's Ancient Gears, there's Armades, there's Samurai Destroyer. There's all these things that can just nullify your effects. That, yeah, the deck is cool, it's fun, it has that nostalgia sentiment, but it's not very good. And because of that, I didn't want to give you just the your regular old Sylvan decks. We gotta throw in some spice. We gotta make it look different. It's 2019 Sylvans. It is not your same deck. So I am throwing Invoker in there. Alistair the Invoker alongside 2 invocations because we need to run some sort of spell with Magical Merchant. And by the way, that's another thing. If you run 2 spells and you just happen to open with both of them, yeah, your Merchant is dead. He can't do anything. So there's just too many ways that it feels very luck based to play with this deck, and I don't think it's very good. But anyway, because of that reason, because I kept opening my spells or I kept immediately drawing into my only spell in the deck, I decided to run Invocation, because Invocation is one of those few spells that you can shuffle back into the deck. That way my merchants are not automatically dead if I already have both invocations in my hand. We also run water and earth monsters in the Sylvan engine already, so it's very easy to go into Cocytus and Magellanica. The deck would be a little bit different if I had Spore, but I don't have it because it's in a very expensive box. So I'm running Plague Spreader Zombie, which does a pretty cool thing. If you have your Martial Leaf or your Mushroom in the hand, you can put them back on the top of the deck, special summon the Plague Spreader Zombie, and then before you excavate, you already know you're gonna have that destruction at the top of the deck. So that's kind of neat. It gives you a little bit of a synchro engine. I just went with Samurai Destroyer and Scrap Dragon. I probably could use a level 6 in here, but there's not enough room unless I cut like a Magellanica or something. Other than that, it's your basic excavate, mill, pop back row, pop monsters. We have Rose Lover to special summon the big boys and make them unaffected. And we're running Grit because we try not to lose immediately, and because the deck requires so much setup, a lot of the times you're just gonna get OTK, so Grit can help you out with that. But yeah, those are basically my thoughts on the deck. Let's go ahead and show you some gameplay, which will probably be very similar to what you remember. I'm gonna set a card, I'm gonna flip the monster, and I'm gonna excavate a lot of cards. But now we have a fusion and a synchro. Alright, here we have a Tristan Taylor. And this replay, well, I was gonna say this replay should go pretty fast, but we are excavating a lot of cards. So I mean these are the kind of matchups you're gonna win against a slow deck. 2 in the back row, 3 in the back row now. Normal summons I just send you. So it's not a deck that's gonna OTK me right away. So we get to flip or Magical Merchant. We're excavating and milling a lot of Martial Leaves, which would be nice if my opponent controlled the monsters. There's the Alistair, so we can use our invocation. Alright, Guardiok is just gonna put my Guardiok and my Mushroom back on the top of the deck. Mushroom is going to snipe away the Floodgate, and turns out that was the only threatening card in the back row. So I'm gonna be able to activate my invocation, summon Cocytus by banishing a Martial Leaf and my Alistair in the graveyard. Hit it for 200, he saves his back row, and now we can double boost our Cocytus. And yeah, thanks to that merchant, we had exact lethal. And that's another thing, right? Because the deck requires setup, there were so many frustrating duels where my opponent just didn't respect my deck. They were like, they're going first. They're like, I don't think you can OTK me. And they just end. They don't do anything. They don't set. They don't summon a monster. They just end. And they were right. I couldn't OTK them because the deck requires that much setup. All I could do was set. And then at that point, they're like, oh, you couldn't kill me? Well, here's my Cyber Angel OTK. You don't get a flip effect. You just die. This would have been one of those duels where I would have just died had it not been for Grit. Chocolate Magician Girl. Discard to draw. Summon Toon Dark Magician Girl. And we're gonna set our Magical Merchant. We already have one invocation in hand, so there's only one card in the deck that can stop our draws. Barry adds Toon Dark Magician Girl. And see, they don't even care that I have something on the field. Just attack directly. Grit comes in clutch. Now we can merchant and basically just obliterate everything on the field. So truth be told, when I was playing this particular deck, this particular duel, I was driving. I know, never play and drive, but I was going very slow. Anyway, I was just yes clicking. I went full Sylvan player, and I just clicked yes. I should have done things differently. I should have destroyed the face down instead of destroying the Toon World, because there was 2 Martial Leaves that were gonna destroy the Toon Dark Magician Girls anyway. But I'm a 4-head, so I was distracted. So we're gonna destroy the Toon World and basically waste or Mushroom because we could have destroyed the face down. But now Guardioke is going to be summoned, meal the Mushroom that we just put at the top of the deck, I believe. We popped the other back row. I still had more plays, such as my Invocation spell to be activated when my opponent scoops. No, for real, don't drive and play. I shouldn't do it either, but I did it. I was going like 10 miles an hour. And I was just clicking yes and winning the duel. Alright. Here we have Akisa. And we're going first, which is preferably what you want. There's our Merchant. We're gonna set him. My opponent sets. So again, not an aggressive deck. They're just like, hey man, you set, I set. So we can take advantage of that. There's the Cold Mushroom. There's the Martial Leaf. So we're gonna nuke the entire board. Get our Invocation. And I'm not sure if I milled an Alistair. I couldn't tell. Yeah, we did. That was one of the first cards we milled. So we already have our Invocation set up. I'm gonna send some cards back to the deck. Some Guardioke, Plague Spreader. I was gonna Synchro Summon, you know, do some shenanigans. My opponent was like, alright man, you already won, so they just surrender. And that's kind of what happens a lot. I don't know if these people played back when Sylvans were meta and they're just sick of all the waiting for all the effects to resolve. But I did get a lot of scoops using this. So it was pretty hard to get decent footage where I wasn't getting obliterated immediately. Alright, here we have a Rex. And this is another, you know, another duel where I benefit of the matchup. My opponent is running a slow deck, Titan Showdown. Some cheesy OTK probably. So it's gonna activate Emblem of the Dragon Destroyer. I thought it was gonna have DNA Surgery and I was gonna cry, but no, he just sets a monster. But that's what I mean, like, I'm inherently a turn behind just because I went second. Do you know what I mean? So my opponent has a full turn to set up and then a full turn to out my board and OTK. It's just not, the meta is too fast right now for Sylvans to make any noise, in my opinion. He's gonna add a Legendary Ocean. Guess what? We top deck our second Invocation. What does that mean? That means our Merchant is dead. That's why I run Invocation, because I'm gonna be able to fuse twice. We're gonna fuse into the Magellanica, and then we're gonna fuse into the Cositos. And all of this is just so I can shuffle back the Invocation and activate my Magical Merchant effect on flip. There's the Martial Leaf, so we have the OTK. We draw the Invocation almost immediately, which, you know, RNG. and we get the win. Yeah, Sinister Serpent making a cameo appearance. I actually forgot to check that guy's deck. I have no idea what his win con was, but I saved that one specifically because of the double invocation brick and how we play around that to make our magical merchant do work. Next we have Ishizu and a Red Ice Fusion. So Red Ice is interesting because it really depends on which order you mill the cards. If you mill your Martial Leaf before you mill a Mushroom, you're gonna activate the Mushroom second. I don't actually remember. So here we mill the Martial Leaf. We get the invocation when I activate the Guardiok. Activate Martial Leaf. Try to pop the Red Ice. Actually, we popped the face down, and he doesn't negate, which was odd. Normal summon Martial Leaf. Mill a Martial Leaf and a Mushroom. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. We mill the Martial Leaf first, which means it's gonna activate first, and then before my opponent can respond to that, my Mushroom is going to activate. So he can't negate the Martial Leaf effect anymore, but he does have a Power of the Guardian, so I have to destroy the Power of the Guardians anyway to get rid of the Red Ice. But that's completely random. I believe they activate the way you excavated them. So summon the Martial Leaf, activate Invocation. He's gonna summon back a Red Ice. That's fine. We already have an Alistair in the graveyard, so we're gonna banish that. Summon Magellanica. And if we want to, we can boost them up to 5,000, but there's no need. We're gonna let Martial Leaf, the MVP of the deck, which just came back, do the work. Double Martial Leaf attack for the win. And there is your Blast from the Past. Fun deck, but I lost so many duels. Again, the meta is just too fast. So say you set a monster, right? And then you're going up against Dark Lords. What are they gonna do? They're gonna summon Desire, activate their effect, and then you lose your flip, you lose your deck, and you just lost the duel for no reason. But yeah, it was cool to see Martial Leaf back in action, popping everything. You know, yes, clicking a lot with this deck was kind of fun. But other than that, I don't think we need to worry about this making a comeback. There's just too many outs for it, and yeah, those are my thoughts in the deck. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, like, comment, and subscribe if you want. And until next time.